like I said at the end of part one, one of the things that that really made Shawn Michaels so great was the way that he was able to make his opponents better, big or small. Even against a guy like Sid who could barely move. What I'm saying? Just virtually, in my view, he was pretty much just horrible. Rather just really, actually not really horrible. Just more so one-dimensional. What I'm saying? His main attribute was just his size alone. And as far as Shawn Michaels goes, he was a smaller guy. Had more weapons. That's why this segment of the interview with Michael Cole was called Contrasting Styles. This is right before they show the match with Sid. But like I said, in the last video as well, part one, 95, in my view, was like the year, was officially the year, that Shawn Michaels outgrew, the Intercontinental title division, the mid-card division, so to speak. And, I mean, obviously, he outgrown, obviously must have really, he definitely outgrew it when he won that World Rumble. He made history as, the first and like the only first and only superstar to ever win the Rumble after being the number one entry. And so that is, very much historic, and he's a trailblazer in so many different ways. And my thing is, I still is, even today, I still can't figure out, how he did all that at the beginning of that year. What I'm saying? Obviously you can tell, by 95, by 95, Shawn Michaels definitely lost some weight. And so, with that being said, that was during the time, where his moveset, his repertoire started becoming even more polished. During that time, he really started adding even more to his game. So, up to that point, he was already dangerous. And so then, not only did he win the World Rumble, but he added the sweet chin, added the sweet chin music, as his finishing move. That set him up to even a whole nother level. So, so like I say, that's something I still can't even figure out. The fact that that you go number one and still end up coming up short, and all you really get that year is a mid-card title, Intercontinental title. I'm not complaining, but at the same time, that sometimes that was just crazy. Sometimes I mean, like I said, I still can't even fathom it. What I'm saying? And I think had, like I say, had Shawn been the world champion that year, I believe and this is the year right before the whole Monday Night War issue. This is before the NWO started. What I'm saying? So I believe had Shawn won the belt that year, I believe not taking anything away from his first title or anything like that, but like I say, I believe had he won the title at that year's WrestleMania, I believe his first title would have really been just a different story compared to that. But anyway, moving on. He goes from DVD. They talk from going from contrasting styles to high flyers. So from going up against a giant to going up against somebody that's around his size, actually smaller, which is of course he had the 1-2-3 Kid. 3 years later became X-Pac. And so so this and this was really something that was similar styles but kind of different. Shawn was definitely high fly himself, even more than what he was recently. What I'm saying? Him, not only was he high fly, but he could mix it up technically too. And as far as like the 1-2-3 Kid goes, he was somebody that was that was just a straight total high fly. His main thing was his agility, the kicks, and all this different type of stuff. His finishing move was the moonsault. So, and on top of that, not only that, but not only that, but both of them were like really, really good friends outside the ring too. So so that match kind of helped really, helping one another out. Shawn was actually, helping the kid out. And so, like I said, even against a guy who, a guy who was a mid-card. I mean, at that time, 1-2-3 Kid, he definitely built a reputation for himself at that point. You know what I'm saying? He started out beating the $1 Million Man in his first year. Then he beat Razor Ramon. So, he was really going up there. And so, like I say, that was a really, really, really great match. Just about 4.5, maybe 5 stars, not maybe. But anyway, this too, talks about, his match with Mankind. I didn't really mess with that too much, because, Mick Foley, he wasn't all that great. He was just a great stunt man, real hardcore guy. I guess I kind of see what Flair was talking about, anyway. Of course, after that goes on and talks about the DX, how they started and things like that. Then go on to the European Championship match, against the British Bulldog. And it's funny because, in this match, as a matter of fact, this is the match, where Shawn wins the European title and becomes the first ever Grand Slam champion. Which means, he was the first, he was named like the first superstar to win every major, win like every major title, the Intercontinental title, World title, European title, Tag Team title. He was, the first guy, who became what was now, almost, something that, that's so common now, a Grand Slam champion. Especially in this day and time. At that time, it was really unheard of. So anyway, Bulldog was a champion. Shawn Michaels was a challenger. If you rewind 5 years before, when Shawn first became the Intercontinental Champion, the first guy that he beat was the British Bulldog. And so at that time the Bulldog was a champion after he beat Bret at SummerSlam. Bulldog was a champion. Shawn was a challenger. And so, like I say, fast forward 5 years, fast forward up to that time, another 5 years, 97. Bulldog not only the champion and Shawn the challenger, but here's an extra twist. The match is in England, like in Manchester, England, British Bulldog's hometown. So, this was still definitely a very classic match. This was like during the genesis, if you will, of DX. This is like, during the time of their origin, like when they first started. With it was just Shawn, Triple H, China, and even Rick Rude as their special enforcement. So so it definitely turned out to be a great match. Just like Shawn's match versus the Bulldog in this one back in '95. And it's funny because somewhere during the match, Bulldog, which is like common throughout just about all their matches, Bulldog picks up Shawn Michaels by one hand, and as he picks him up, Shawn's kind of like cradled over, and Bulldog's getting ready, as Bulldog grabs him, first he kind of has a hard time a little bit, because of Shawn's weight, going from 240 something, like 230 or whatever. Being able to pick him up like that, but the fact that he got him up with one hand and then slammed him, I still believe that was pretty cool, incredible. But I think that that match, was really, Shawn really caught some really good heat, for that match, by beating the Bulldog, in Manchester, in his hometown. Even though, of course, like 2 months later, we all know about what happened in Montreal, which was not so cool. But and then goes on, about his match and against Undertaker in '98, which was like his last year before before he took that break and took that time to kind of recover and get his life straightened out. Became born again. Of course, tremendously gave his life to Christ. And by the time he came back, the signs just showed. He was a totally changed man. Made a total 180 degree turn and things like that. And just came back on a note. And so of course, he was saying that of course in his interview, he was talking about his ups and downs. He was saying first you have to sink really, really low, really, really at the bottom. to be able to look up, and and that was tremendous for him to say that. And so and of course his match against Jericho, was a classic at WrestleMania 19. And of course it goes on talking about his match with Ric Flair, for the first time back in 2003. And of course he ultimately beat Flair at WrestleMania 24. And so it goes on talking about his match with Angle and his promo against Hogan and stuff like that. So part 3 is going to come up. I won't take up too much time.